Shows that we're almost there. That's what my stomach sounds like after Taco Bell. You know? Hey, Blasphemers, hang tight. Derek from the Mythvision Podcast is our guest, and we're about to start the show, right?
Never.
Hey, Blasphemers, welcome to Simple Blasphemy, where we have the best times with the worst topics.
We're three friends that discuss everything and nothing, from wacky headlines to games and trivia. All subjects bizarre and risque are on the table.
Our weekly guests range from friends, musicians, and artists to professionals in a variety of industries.
We go live on Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Want to support the show? Join our Patreon. You can find it and more at www.simpleblasphemy.com.
So grab a drink and join it!
It's too late now. This is Simple Blasphemy.
Yeah. Clap them butt cheeks
baby.
together. Clap them butt cheeks together.
One of the few audiences, or one of the few podcasts out there, video shows that actually use live studio claps. All four.
We all have the clap. All four
Welcome
of us.
to the Simple Blasphemy Podcast, all you blasphemers out there. My name is Zach Ward, and I have with me always Andy.
Thank you guys for listening to us be assholes on the internet.
Awesome. And also Mr. Zach Green. And all the information on this show can be found on simpleblasphemy.com. And if you click that like, share, subscribe button, like Control Alt Delete, this week you get what, Andy?
Zach Green's cursings that he just did, his speakings will not get your significant other pregnant.
Okay, fair enough. This week,
Thank you.
we have Derek.
You're welcome.
And this week we're reviewing Mythvision Podcast. Hold on.
Okay, so your intro was based on the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark when he goes into the Well of Souls, right?
No, that's actually going into Islam. Muhammad supposedly split the moon in half. And that was one of the miracles, supposedly, as well as him flying on a donkey or a horse or some animal to Jerusalem, like flew a winged horse or something like that.
All right.
So I decided to take the moon and
I was talking more about the outfit. Yes, the moon splitting is awesome, but I got this.
You're being racist because he's white.
What?
I think it's like this weird.
What?
Anyway, Frank Griffin says, "Happy Blastgiving." Ooh, like that.
I like
Now,
that.
what I'd like to do for anybody because there's clearly people there that are a part of the Mythvision army out there.
I apologize to you in advance.
Yeah, I am going to say the Mythvision intro, except very fast instead of slow. You've always wanted to hear this. We are Mythvision. There. Done. That's how that works. That's
Seriously, how do you guys feel about it when I go, we are Mythvision?
You know what? I think it goes like this, and it kind of like makes you focus a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like, you know why people whisper? So you listen.
Yeah.
That's why they do it. You know what I mean? It's a, shh.
Or something bad's about to happen.
I'm about to tell you a really important secret
of
life.
Today's show, and in honor of Derek, we have our ticker for the first time that kind of gives all the information for Mythvision, just like that. Okay. We've got some pictures to go through. We've got some video to go through. We're kind of doing a year in review of Mythvision stuff. There are countless hours and hours of videos available for you, and any of those links that you see there. And if you have any questions, we're not as far along in YouTube, nor will we ever be probably. So what we'd like to do today in the comment section is we don't have a super chat, as I'm trying to say. So we'd like to do a fictitious one. If you want to put just a dollar amount to your question, and obviously you don't owe anybody anything, but just to have fun, it could be we just want to read off like, oh, we got one for $1 million. You know, it's just gonna make us feel good.
Is this like that game that you would play with your friends where they'd scream a dollar amount and throw a football into the air and you and your friends would try to catch it? I think they called it $5. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad that. Okay.
Yeah, it's that we're gonna just put a dollar amount to your comment or question for Derek, and we'll kind of, and we may or may not have a special guest. We'll see. Who knows? First of all, Derek, let's backtrack. I did a little bit more digging since the last time you've been on. Let's start right here. You posted this picture here on February 8th of 2018. Do you remember this picture?
I've seen it before.
Oh, this is good. All right, here we go. So in this post on February 2015, my apologies.
Oh, Lord.
February 2015.
So that's not admissible.
You are bringing up something from 2015. Oh, I can't imagine. Tell me what I said about Jesus in this or something, please.
I've even received, without going into all of it, because it's actually a lengthy post you had. I even received hate from my Calvinist brothers for investigating fulfilled eschatology or
eschatology,
eschatology. I'm sorry, or what is it?
Preterism.
One of them called God's judgment down on me, my wife, and my children because I found many of fulfilled eschatologies?
Yeah.
Arguments far more convincing than the Orthodox Church's arguments. 2015 for us older people wasn't that long ago. For my kids, it was relatively recent ago. You guys, and this is
wait a minute,
Ryan.
I want to tell you guys something real quick, briefly, just to let you know. She doesn't even come on to my channel, okay? So you are so privileged to even have her. She doesn't usually come on.
There you go.
Now, hey Ryan, were you as involved in Christianity and the church and stuff as Derek was back in like 2015, 14, or not really?
I would say probably no.
No?
I was involved, I let him sort of lead, the family and went wherever he said, but I wasn't anything like him when it came to religion.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's like him, to be quite honest with you. I think you have a handful.
I was definitely a nutcase, honestly. Like really, I mean, really, I was very pressuring to her, always pushing religion on her, always pressure. You don't act like you're saved. Like, I mean, it was abusive, honestly.
And I wish I had a picture of it now had I known that you're going to be here, but I've seen some of the looks that Derek has had over the years, especially there's one where he had a very large bush of a beard. I mean, put all this stuff aside. How did you deal with that?
I love him for who he is. So, whatever keeps the girls away, I'm cool with that,
Ha! I'm sorry. Your beard is so voluminous. Do you have a comb that I can use?
Well, that's awesome. Right. And you guys met super early, right? And were you guys teenagers for the most part?
Yeah, we were. I was 16 and he was 17, almost 18 when we first.
Wow. 17.
Trying to get her in there clear too. Let me see. How do I get this camera focused?
Looks like you're being greenlit.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Now that Derek has taken this to a whole nother level, becoming, similar to like being the John Strassel or the Anderson Cooper of, investigative reporting, because you have to admit that's exactly what this is. You're talking. Is it nice to have him at home and not out working somewhere and whatnot? Is that a better situation for you guys?
Oh yeah, I mean it's better. I like that he's home. He's out here a lot working, but at least I know where he's at, so that's always good.
Yeah,
yeah,
that is good. I wish I had a whole bunch of more questions prepared. Hadn't known all this stuff. But can you take us back?
Can I ask questions?
Oh God, yeah, Andy. Please.
Oh no, I'm just making sure. So when you were pressuring her, I just need a little bit more context for this. You were pressuring her to get involved in which religion?
Christianity.
Okay, but which sect?
At every one of them that I ever was in, but
mostly the
would you say the last one? Yeah. So the Reformed Calvinist. I was a Presbyterian Reformed Calvinist at the end.
Okay, so like I just wanted to understand where the pressure came from, because there's only a few of them. Like as a former Catholic, we just made you feel guilty for not being a Catholic. We were very exclusionary. We were just like, F you if you don't do our thing. You're just doing this. We're not going to try to save you. Yeah, and Green knows what I'm talking about. Then the Baptists were more like, if I don't save you, you're going to hell, and there's a small chance that I'm going to hell with you if I don't save you. So I like to hear when people are being pressuring when it comes to religion, what is the background? Because I don't often find Pentecostal people coming up and speaking in tongues and trying to save me or anything like that. But Baptists, yes. I'm unfamiliar with Calvinists.
It depends on which one you're talking to. There's so many. But I'll say, I think the big problem was I would spend countless hours like reading my Bible and debating and listening to Christian worship music and literally be up till 3-4 in the morning and doing that. And she'd be coming in there going, come to sleep with me, spend time with me. Even as a husband, come sleep with me. Like actually
sin with me.
Yeah. Well, you're married, right? So you're like, it's not a sin.
It's not a sin anymore. That's why you get married.
Depends on how you do it.
Huh?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Yeah.
But I would even like say I'd get mad, which that might play into my upbringing as to how when people were like oppressing and we start arguing, then I'd get like not interested. But I would most of the time like argue with her. You don't focus on God enough, all of that excuses to not go home in the bedroom and look at her. I mean, what the hell's wrong with me? Right? Like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
But you've made up for that. I'm certain that you've made up for that.
Let me ask you this then.
Right?
At least once.
We won't keep Ryan here forever, I promise, but we appreciate you coming on. So you guys have been together for an extremely long time. I mean, what is your guys' secret the reason why I'm asking what's the secret to your success as it relates to marriage is because it seems that Andy probably can weigh in this. It seems like in the last couple of months, people just been having problems, man. Just like maybe it always happens between this time and fall, but there's a lot of deaths happening, and
all of the mental issues that are going on right now are constant with spikes depending on seasonality.
Yeah.
And Andy is getting his master's in therapy, so I'm
currently an intern, and what we notice is that everybody makes a bunch of appointments around this time of year and cancels most of them because they have good intentions, and then it goes completely dark until New Year's, and then January and February are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's weird. It's almost like a draft pick of which presenting issue you're going to come into. And it's kind of nice. It kind of reminds me of my former job where we would wait for a season. There would be a certain season where things would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And every job has its season.
True story. So what's your guys' secret to your longevity?
Other than locking you in the closet for 14 hours a day, I think
and reading
Bible
Eminem.
No, but I would say for me it's just because we argue, we're husband and wife. We have 3 kids. We have lots of life and struggles and things like that. I think it's just getting to the next moment, letting like dust settle when you do get upset about something and you're arguing, and let's say you can't see eye to eye, dust settle, let the emotions go away, think about it, and then you look at each other after you were just yelling and you smile and you laugh or something. Like you find a way to just kind of like, we've grown up. We've literally grew up together. Like she was 16 when her mom had signed over her legal rights to me. I was 8. I just turned 18. I married her when she was 16. We were doing the religious thing and got married at a young age, which religious or non, the point is we were in love. We absolutely were in love. We had a kid together. We decided to marry at a very young age, and we did. And it's been a roller coaster. The thing is we really love each other. So it didn't matter how tough things got and whatnot. We were family. And so we stuck it out and we kept going. And our kids, we keep doing that for our kids. That's my thoughts. But
I mean, if, we were like in a relationship where it was more physical, then I could understand, you not being able to stay through something like that. But you sort of have to choose like what battles you're willing, I guess, to accept and what you're not. And me and Derek, we're completely like the opposite. In
many ways.
On almost
everything. I'm not going to say every single, like we have those things. Like we're modern apes. She's still getting used to me saying that. But like we will literally go meticulously and try and pick up, okay, there's a pimple. Let me get the little pimple popper thingy. Like we will like we nurture and take care of each other. She'll help me file my toes down or I'll try and I'll pop her.
I hope you mean your nails, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elmer's glue off
your
body.
Toenails, you know what I mean. Yeah.
So can you guys take us back to this picture? What was going on?
What's up there, Johnny the Chin? Holy crap. You look like a superhero. The Tick called for you? Holy crap, that's amazing.
It's an old picture.
Now white pants, this had to be in between Labor Day and Memorial Day, right?
Who knows?
I was
Probably
really
not.
bad off on drugs at the moment.
Which ones?
I remember I was driving to the place to get the pictures, and I was thinking, it took so much work just to get this day scheduled, to get him to do anything, and he was so messed up. He was throwing up on the way there.
Wow.
And I'm like, pull it together.
But I went in.
Wait, go back to the picture. Show me the picture again, because
I tell you what, Ryan, you get the Wife of the Year award.
I was gonna say you didn't look like you vomited, and the pants are clean.
Trust me.
He did.
Oh my gosh, man!
You knew to keep them clean.
Just take them off.
Yeah,
for the most part, I covered that stuff up pretty good, though. You wouldn't know, but I was really bad off. I wasn't just, well, look at him. He doesn't look that. I ate. I love to eat, so that kept my health looking like I was doing well, but I was really stuck on Opanas, which are oxymorphone. For those who don't know, Oxycontin and a form of morphine are mixed together, and they give it to people who are dying pretty much, or extremely in a real physical situation to a point where they're hurting so bad that they give them this drug, and I was sniffing it.
Damn.
Wow. Jesus. All right. So I got one video clip. If you guys could take us back to this. I don't recall the date I have on this one, but here
I ended up, looking into post-millennialism. As I did, I was reading, and I saw what Kenneth Gentry, the main guy who really got me over to this thing, Gary DeMar, was hitting me with some uppercuts, and I mean, it was just obvious. What he was saying was so true, and I was like, I don't understand the Bible now. Like I never understood this book the way it really meant to be understood in so many ways. So as I started listening to him on podcasts, on YouTube, I was hitting up sermonaudio.com. They got all that stuff on there. As I was looking at it and hearing what he's saying, like Revelation 1:7, behold, he cometh with the clouds. Every eye shall see him. All those who pierced him. All kindreds of the earth will wail because of him, or nations will wail because of him. Even so, amen. And I used to think, man, that day, I used to have dreams back as a charismatic guy. Like the fire, I saw the whole sky like a big wave of fire flame, and it came down, and it was just, I had some fearful dreams. I really did, of the end. That means I wasn't raptured because I got burnt in that dream. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what's amazing?
I gotta go, guys.
No, but seriously though, how old were you? Because your public speaking is amazing.
That was
we're trying to say you have the gift of gab.
6 or 7, maybe 8 years ago, something like that. 6 to 8.
Just being able to stand in front of those people and that's, even though I don't particularly subscribe to it.
That video is like a half an hour long, by the way.
Huh?
That video is a half an hour long. Someone just posted that only a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yes. So I was high on Percocets in that video.
Jesus Christ! You pill.
I'm going to go ahead and write some notes down
I was
here.
clean for a long.
He left to go there.
Yeah.
And then he came home.
Well, I had a tooth pulled. Then I made this excuse, and the pastor guy there was able to find me Percocets.
Wow.
So anyway, the funny part I thought about that whole thing, that's really true about my dreams and stuff, but I love how you see how confident I am when I say, I really didn't understand this book till now. And I'm saying this now, I really didn't understand that book when I was saying that I understood that fucking book. Okay, that is the truth.
Perspective's a son of a bitch.
It is. And even today, I'll say to myself, this is the interesting thing about all the academics I have, which we'll get into, I'm sure. Yeah. When you have that many brilliant people who cannot agree on the minutia, and it's not that they want to purposely try to disagree, they really cannot figure out what the heck is going on in certain places, then Joe Schmo behind the pulpit down the street at your Southern Baptist or your Catholic church, whatever, when they act like they're preaching and they know what it means, go ahead and say, nah, trust me, they don't know really what it means. Now, there might be some stuff. I'm just saying, they act like they got it. They figured it out.
Nobody's got it. Nobody's got it. That's my favorite part, is that anybody that says they've got it, you immediately know they don't.
Well, you can't trust human beings. I mean, all you have to do is go to a used car lot,
See?
Yeah,
see,
that's all you need.
So there's a story behind you before you let her go, okay? And this is
you can stay as long as you want.
You're more than welcome to stay.
Yeah, just sit. You're in a gamer. You're in the gamer chair.
This is good. This is going to brag about you. So 10 to 12, maybe more than that. When I first met her, and I was really, I'd go into drug addiction and back into religious addiction, and I really do think it is hitting the exact same things. The religion was giving me a high. It gave me some satisfaction. It really did. That's a whole nother topic. Maybe we could talk about someday. But she would tell me when I try to tell her this is the word of God and the Holy Spirit moved these men and these words are true.
He would try to use verses against me.
Yeah, and she goes, men wrote that, Derek. Men wrote that. And I'm like, no, the Holy Spirit through these men wrote it. And I mean, I'd get into it with her, and I'd as the male, try to dominate that. 12 years later, we're driving to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm on the trip, and I've learned a thing or two, which means you find out more about how you don't fucking know. Anyway, so I turn to her and I go, listen, honey, I just found out, the Bible is written by men, which means there's errors. And she looked at me. And she's like, you do know that I'm the one who said this 12 years ago. And I couldn't help but look at her and just think to myself, damn, I try to be right, but you really are right about this. There is no, and I said, the difference is I still had to one up you. The difference is I can prove it now. And
you did say that.
I did say that. Yeah. I still tried to one up it. I had to win something because that was a flat out loss right there for me, dude. I lost.
Listen to that self-actualization. Listen to that tendency that you're I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
God damn, I fucked up.
Yes.
And it's great to do that. It's awesome to do that.
But it doesn't have to be a competition,
No, everybody can win and everybody can lose. It's who you high five and who you hug at the end that matters.
No, I will admit that, but maybe not in front of my wife. So,
but she's going to hear this.
Maybe. So, Ryan, one last picture for your commentary, if you don't mind. Take us back to this.
Oh God.
Oh jeez. Okay, that's another stage.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm. Nice chain there, Tony. I'm sorry. Do you prefer to be called Anthony, or are you gonna kick my ass?
I know that Derek has
cheese balls.
he's a little light on life. That's why I want to pick a couple pictures to have at least a little bit of fun with. You know what I mean? But it's occurring to me that you're like, oh, that was a different chapter in our relationship. What did you want to be an MMA fighter or something like that, or what? What's going on?
Whose ass did you kick?
I don't know.
What were you
No, I didn't want to be in
doing?
MMA. I was flexing. I was trying to get back into shape. That was early on me getting back into shape.
Yeah.
And I would go through this phase: drug addiction, Jesus, the gym, which sometimes included steroids.
Really?
Then included
Yes.
lots of girls.
Which became a thing where I would get a wandering eye and literally turn into a brute beast where I just, you can't keep your eyes on your wife only. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
At least when he was on drugs, I knew, he wasn't doing anything.
At least when I was high on drugs, she's like, he ain't trying to cheat on me.
Oh
it
no!
got worse, So then there was a concern, obviously, with it's always a concern because he's extreme.
Yeah.
So anything he was into, other than his family, he was extreme with. So it was, I don't know, a learning curve, and a lot of it had to do with two seasonal changes, like what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
He would find a lot of times, he'd go back into the addiction during the winter times.
I'd go into my hibernation with pills,
or maybe
and
it was
then
during summer. I can't remember.
I figure summer's when I wanted to beach bod, and I'd be all like, outdoors, let me take my shirt off, that kind of thing, and go through the seasons, just like an animal,
Man,
All right. Wow.
I'm exhausted just listening about all these extremes.
Well, we're only halfway through the
I know.
All
right, let's get to some fun stuff here, and I promise.
This is fucking fun.
Oh, it is fun. And Ryan, thank you so much.
This is great. Yes, thank you for hanging out. I love the perspective of seeing a couple that has been together for so long.
Yeah,
and has gone through ups and downs. If it weren't for the non-religious tone, I'd be like, Ryan, you're a fucking saint for sticking by this dude. But it seems like you guys both put some work in.
Weathering the storm.
Yeah, how many years?
Well, you're hearing one side, and my side's far worse than hers in terms of the dirt we've done, but we've stuck it out. I mean, the least she could do is put a little dirt on the table. I mean, so
look
at that look.
Anyways.
Yeah, we've done some pretty jacked up crap.
Listen, I charge $125 an hour. No,
right?
Wait.
Need that,
how many years are you guys celebrating?
So we have been married going on 15 years. So we've been together going on 16 years.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, you guys are true. I mean, with only knowing as much as I know, a true testament to seriously. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday that was having some issues with her husband, and the D word keeps getting thrown around, even though it's not meaning it, but
douchebag.
Just pretty much
that too.
And often I talk about it's concentrate on the bond that you have together. Because you don't always love each other all the time. There's times that you don't feel that love. It's like, it's not that it's not there. It's just, it's not, as present as it used, but the bond is what it is. If I'm pissed off and I look at my wife, I love people watching with her. She's got a great head on her shoulders. You know what I mean? And we have so much fun together. This is bullshit. We're arguing about the kids. You know what I mean? And it's the bond part that I always try to focus on. Do you guys kind of have that same mentality?
I mean, that's what the bond is what ultimately keeps it there. The love at the basis is what always, no matter what, keeps it there. And there's moments, like you said, sure, that goes for anyone. I think anyone who tells you otherwise, I think they're full of it. I just have a hard time believing that they've somehow figured out how not to ever have these problems that we all as humans have. So, and we have significantly bigger problems than maybe the typical regular household would have, from the drug addiction to the steroids to the.
Yeah, but there's some people who deal with, physical abuse. There's some people, things that are very harmful. Now, had he been physically abusive to me, or then I wouldn't have been able to stay, or physically abusive to my kids. Yeah. But he was always at least a good dad, and I wouldn't say he was a great husband, but he had his moments, and I could see like if he could just get his head on right, and if he could just grow up, he has potential to be great.
Which begs the question. Greg Brown asks in the chat, but where is he now? That's the question.
There it is.
So,
where is he now?
Yeah, we've told the dirt. We scratched the surface on the dirt, but nonetheless, I've done plenty of horrible things just being a person who struggles with many different problems. Where would you say I am now?
How many years sober? How many years sober?
No. How many years? 6 years.
6 years sober.
Off of heroin and 7 off alcohol. I did have 1 beer while I was on heroin, but it tasted like piss because I liked one drug at a time and I would literally go all in on it.
So when you have a drug and are you done with it after that?
What do you mean?
So heroin addiction, and after you kicked the addiction, were you done with it?
Well, I'd never gone back to opiates for 6 years, and now I'm 6 years and counting. But substance. I would get clean off of a substance and then return. Yes. At first it was just regular marijuana, and you go, what the hell? Yeah. I was the guy who smoked 6 to 12 blunts a day. I'd go through an ounce in a day. An ounce. I mean, literally just to smoke it, and
just to waste it. I mean,
like literally. And that's all I would do. And then eventually when I didn't have it, the anxiety was so intense after smoking that much every day. When I would stop, I'd literally withdraw, like actual anxiety attacks and the whole 9. So then I'd finally quit that. Well, when years went by after quitting it and tried to go back, it never worked for me the same. I'd have paranoia. I'd get absolutely like something's not right with me. I'm freaking out. My breathing, like, I don't know. Weed didn't work for me anymore. So I was on pills, but I tried to quit the pills and I'd do the steroids and I'd come back to pills and opiates and testosterone, or one of those things that I'd always gone through. It wasn't an addiction to the testosterone. It was what it would make me do, my thinking and how I would want to think. It wasn't like I had to do steroids. No, I could do like 1 month and then be done the whole year, a couple years. And then I'd jump back on it when I wanted to get my body in shape again. But it's really about like the women is the problem with the steroids. The opiates was like, I almost died at the end with heroin.
Well, with Ryan, did you ever do anything wrong? I mean, or is it you just let him kind of fall down the staircase? Did you ever have to?
She didn't let him do shit
wrong, honey. Did you ever have any problems? Did you do any dirt ever?
Oh, we're digging things.
I mean, I'm not perfect. So when we first met, we smoked a lot of weed together, but I'm very moderate. Like I do everything in moderation. I've never been in like an extreme type of person. I'm more like laid back. I don't have that kind of energy that he has. I don't know a lot of people who do, but because of that, like I could smoke weed and not smoke 12
or
blunts
roll
a day.
on ecstasy,
you can only get so high, at least for me, I wasn't a big drinker. I didn't ever do, opioids like that.
No, you weren't ever addicted to opioids.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you were definitely on ecstasy. You really.
Uppers were probably my.
She liked the uppity.
This is one because Derek talks a lot. So hold a second, Ryan. So you've gone through. You guys have came out on top, so to speak, with the drug situation.
Right.
You have kids, Ryan. The question is, so what is your guys' approach, or you're going to be your approach with your children, if you haven't, about drugs? Because these things come up. I have to talk. My daughter's 17. I have to talk to her. I've talked to her about it many times. I also got a 1st grader and a 3rd grader and a 7th grader. What's your guys' take coming out the other end and teaching your kids?
I think it's very important to be very open and transparent with them. A lot of my, I guess, knowledge came from watching my parents. And, I got a lot of street smarts from doing that and knowing what I didn't want to do. And my mom was very open with me. And I think that helped. And so I try to be as open and transparent with our kids, and as he does as well. So just to educate them, because addiction does run on both sides of our family. The things that maybe they don't see now, but our oldest, he has probably experienced still memories of his dad. So
And I think that's
God,
go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, it's just a fantastic. I don't mean to minimize to minimize it by saying it's a case study. But my God, the amount that you've been through, the amount that you've surmounted, and then having kids that you've kept at the forefront. It sounds like you've kept them at the forefront of everything that you've done. At least more recent, well, 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is, like that.
Yeah.
The data that you could get from how you approach that is amazing.
Yeah,
it's fantastic, and the fact that you still kept what you were producing, I guess is the best way to put it. What you're producing out front, like this is the most important thing. It blows my mind in the most positive way.
It's unbelievable. You guys should be super proud of yourselves, man. I mean, and Derek, you're such an honest person. The first time I talked to you on the phone, I think it was for like an hour and 20 minutes, just going back and forth of the love of the blasphemer's life as it be. And all these things, I just found this out. And I mean, we talked forever, and then we had on the show and had a little bit of that as well. And speaking on the Mythvision podcast, I mean, I went to the very first video of this year. You even had a video of talking about what you're looking at. And in January of 2021, you were at 10K subscribers on the YouTube channel. Now we're past 35,000.
Damn. That's good growth. That's great growth right there, buddy.
That's insane. Your biggest video, a couple of them are in the 100,000 views. Looking back, starting at the beginning of this year, did you do exactly what you were set out to do? Did you do way more than that? Or is this just like one of those snowballs running down a hill and it's like, I'm just trying to keep this thing going straight, but we're rolling with this one?
Yeah, that's a good question. There were times I kind of wanted to make predictions about where my subscriber count would go within the year. And I don't remember what the numbers were, but I think that I'm satisfied with where it's gone so far. By next year, it'll probably be double or more. That's just using like statistics. That's not even me. That's just common sense. Cause the bigger you get, the quicker you grow. That's just how it is.
Yeah. It's probably hard to quantify, cause at first it's like, oh wow, there's something really going on here. And it's the reason why, I even have the little scroll thing down there for Derek's not only Patreon, but YouTube and stuff like that to subscribe, is that it's just like, come on, buddy, we need more of this stuff. And I think often people don't understand what that really means. At the beginning of the year, you were gung-ho and like, come on, guys, let's get this likes up to 100. And you kept egging people. It seems like you don't have to do that so much anymore, which is awesome, right?
I don't. I have people who do it for me in the chat.
That sounds nice.
So on that front, my question to you as a content provider, what is it about the thumbs down? Do you get it seems like your channel doesn't get that as often as others, but it seems like somebody could have a video on how they, gave their kidney to a homeless kid and now they're graduating from Harvard, and some fuckers got to put a thumbs down to every fucking video. And
because there's miserable ass people out there.
I just want to say our podcast is
an art form.
Is you can use bad words, just not bad ideas. Okay. Just, you can use bad words. It's fine. Why in the counterpart to the accolades, the thumbs downs and all the shit, what does it do to you?
It makes me know that I'm doing my job.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
If you're not disliking it, then I'm not pressing enough. I'm not letting you know where I stand enough. I'm trying to sit on the fence. And if you're liking it, then I know I'm pressing the right buttons and you're saying this is good stuff. But if I'm not getting dislikes, my reach isn't hitting people who aren't subscribers. I want people who are not fans of me to watch me and to say, you dumbass, you don't know what you're talking about. I get it all the time. Because in my head, when I hear them, I'm
me.
really going, dude,
That
you're
was
the
me.
pot calling the kettle black. You don't even know what you're talking. It's like John J. Collins. It's like this guy is a king when it comes to Hebrew Bible studies. And I get 5, troll fundamentalist Christians in the chat talking about this guy has no clue what he's talking about. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know what you're talking about. But that tells me that it's doing its job.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's pissing people off. That's the goal. But mostly people enjoy it.
Let's just take a couple. I have a couple of clips prepared. We only got like 20 minutes anyway, so let's have a little bit of fun in the year in review. We talked about this a little bit, I believe, on our show the first time you were on, and you had brought on the Australian Jesus.
You remember that?
Okay.
Isn't there a Bad Religion song called the Australian Jesus, right?
Now,
No, it's the American Jesus. It's called the American Jesus, but whatever.
Now I will tell you this, and in the was it before, I can't remember where you said there's a Russian Jesus too?
Yes. Yes. He got arrested. Russia does not play games. They won't allow Scientology over there. They're cracking down on Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. Russia's not playing games, and good for them.
I was going to say, don't let those Scientologist guys in there. Let's
take a look at this first clip.
We have none other than Jesus, who is located in Australia. You are called Jesus. We call you Jesus. I know you get called AJ, but I'm going to refer to you as Jesus. This is going to be an interesting interview, unlike I think any interview I've ever done myself. But I want to say thank you for joining us today on Mythvision.
It's my pleasure, Derek. Yeah.
And what is the name of your website and the YouTube channel, real quick, just for anybody who might be interested?
Well, our website is divinetruth.com. So anybody who wants to watch anything we've produced, we've got thousands of videos on there and so forth. But it's divinetruth.com. And I forget the name of our YouTube channel now, but
now I stopped the clip right there on purpose. We have Green. You feel where I'm going with this? His name, he's the Jesus, right? He forgot his YouTube channel. Do you think for 1 second, maybe you never caught that before, but I literally like, dude, what was your, it seemed like you had this glow on, Derek. It's like you had literally Jimmy Hoffa, and you're not Geraldo. You're not going to find a roadmap. You're literally going to find information on this guy. What was it like, especially having Dr. Price there, right, with you, and interviewing this guy?
Oh gosh, this guy really had me interested. I watched a few of his documentaries when he had agreed to come on, and he was very strange. Yeah. But I didn't even notice that. That was a good catch, by the way, that he didn't even know the name of that. But I told myself before I went in, I want to interview this guy to have him tell me these answers that I'm going to ask questions of that nobody knows but him, because he was really there in the first century. He remembers his life from the first century.
Not his YouTube, though, just his life.
And I told him on the phone, we spoke on the phone plenty of times before. And I said, I'm not going to be critical. He goes, well, you can be somewhat critical. And I said, no, I want to learn. I want to learn from you. I want to hear what you have to say. It spoke for itself. I mean, the things that he said, some of the things were so out there.
Well, let's hear one more. Hold on. I got one more small clip.
And know what this is about. You are saying that you are the second coming of Jesus, who was the man in the first century who was crucified by Pontius Pilate, and who's the Son of God, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
yeah, no, I'm not saying a lot of that.
Okay.
Firstly, I'm saying that I am the Jesus that existed in the first century, obviously, but I've had 2,000 years of existence. I'm not sort of the second coming of me. I'm the first coming of me. This is just all a part of my life. I lived 2,000 years. A lot of that time I've lived in the spirit world, obviously, and I've been back on earth now for 57 years. But I'm also not saying that I'm the only son of God or anything like that. And all of those statements about what I say are often fabrications of the media rather than what I've actually said. So I'm actually saying that all of us are children of God, but we become a son of God in a special sense by entering a specific relationship that involves receiving God's love to the point of one with God. And that's something that I taught in the first century and that I continue to teach now.
Bro, it gets so bad. You keep watching. You're like,
but why
does Jesus have to use the word obviously? Like, I was in the first century, obviously. Like, what do you mean by obviously? Like, what's the Aramaic word for obviously, by the way? I mean, that's the only thing I would have asked him. Well, how does Hebrew sound like back in then? You know, like
objunction.
You know, that might have been more facetious of a thing to say to him, I suppose, if you're really trying to.
I think there's a lot of double talk in that. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen in that because at the same time, though, you can convince anybody that you are the son of God if you use the right words and you take every back door that you can possibly find to keep continuing. It's lawyer speak. It's double talk. It's snake oils. Yeah.
Become a Christian.
He's a new age. He's a new age Jesus. And he's claiming that this is still his same life. Like he's still, which there's so much ridiculousness when you do a digging on this guy. I mean, I found out he has an ex-wife he has kids with that he has disowned. One of the kids he took, the other one doesn't believe he's Jesus, so he disowned him. And he was
good for that one.
Jehovah's Witness elder. He was an elder in the Jehovah's Witnesses, and then found out he was Jesus. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things he said in that video. But if I were to ask him, hey, why don't you say this word in Aramaic or Hebrew or whatever, it may have come across. I did things like this, but I wasn't confrontational. I wanted it to be peaceful. And this guy still ruined that relationship when he emailed my friend and I back. He was so passive aggressive.
Jesus uses email?
He's passive aggressive?
Oh yeah. He didn't like those statues in the video. He said, take those statues down. In the intro music,
that was a bad picture of him.
Yeah, he said no intro music is allowed. The statues. He was like, you're giving graven images of me and like weird stuff. But at the end of the day, we're like, look, if it requires me to take those down and to remove the music, I'll do it. He was not working with us at all. And he was purposely doing it. Then I found out there was a reporter who went and did interviews with him in person in Australia at his compound where 100 other people literally like, what do you need? At his beck and call. They follow him as the cult leader. This guy did the same thing, was totally friendly, and Jesus like passive aggressively as well. It's his defense mechanism to make everyone else wrong, bad, and like they need to look inside themselves because the problem is with you, not him. And I called him out on it in an email. Then his wife, Mary Luck, who's Mary Magdalene, ended up writing back something to my friend David, and I flipped. I finally, on strike 3, said, if he responds back again and says something, I'm going to speak my mind. And then I did. And I said, Mary Luck, I've done a little bit of research. You're not the first Mary Magdalene that he's been with. There are 2 other Marys before you. I started digging into this guy's past and realized I found one of his original cult members who left the cult, who's weird as hell in his thinking as well. But at the end of the day, he came on and was talking about Jesus realized he wasn't Jesus or was ready to come out and say it to the cult. But the whole cult said, no, we want you to be Jesus. So he remained.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Ryan, I have a question for you. Okay. Now, Ryan,
thank you for sticking around.
Do you think that Australian Jesus had a personalized license plate for his car? And what would that license plate say?
Oh,
what would he have on his license plate?
I assume he doesn't have a car.
I need to start.
I need a flying donkey.
Before I solve the problems of the world, I need to start helping my own country out.
Right. Yeah. You shouldn't need a car if he's Jesus, right? So
if you know his message, though, if you've done the research on him prior to interviewing him, he has a message of love, right? So he keeps using that word love. So I can imagine a license plate that probably has the words love in it somehow.
Okay.
MSG love, monosodium glutamate love.
All
Right.
Fair enough. All right. One more clip. We got 2 more clips left, I believe. And that's all we got. Next clip will be.
It's weird because, and I'm gonna point out that the hour goes so fast.
Yeah, I know.
It really does. When you have interest, when there is something you want to dig into, it goes so fast.
But I'm doing these clips so people can go on the channel and then research them for themselves too. I mean, each one of these clips that you see here is a video that's either 30 minutes or 2.5 hours. So there's no shortage of that. Here we go. Professor Elaine, I believe. Let's see here.
Do you think it was a save their hide? Or
Yes.
do you think there was, let me ask you this, do you think there was any historical verisimilitude to the idea of Jewish sects disagreeing with a historical Jesus who's preaching some message, and he's facing guys on earth at this time that are actually rejecting him and actually saying no, and that gave them ammunition to say, look, not only look what happened in 70 AD, because you didn't listen to the guy, we're blaming you guys. You didn't listen to him, and God sent the Romans as punishment like he did, to the Babylonians or whatever else in the Old Testament. I don't know.
Well, you're totally right. That happened a little bit later, but early on, and there were Jews who thought Jesus was a heretic, and he was a troublemaker, and some people thought he was a revolutionary, but likely the evidence suggests to me that he wasn't. Some people claim that he might have been, probably not. But his followers were not starting a revolution, but they were under suspicion. So basically, yes, I think it was a savior hide thing, because it means, look, our leader was arrested for being and crucified for being a revolutionary, but it was a false charge. I mean, his own people ganged up against him and they accused him of things he wasn't guilty of. And that's what happened. And the Romans wanted to release him. They knew he was innocent. Pilate was such a nice guy. Well, if you look at the history, Pilate wasn't that way at all. He crucified people without trials all the time.
I'm not laughing about the seriousness of it. I just think it's funny because it's like, this is interesting. Yeah.
Oh, it's so fascinating, because when you study the history of religion, Derek, it changes the way you see that whole collection of stories. It doesn't change everything, but it just changes the angle. So I began to realize, I started looking at stories of Satan as kind of a joke, the cartoon figure. And I came right up against the real world, just like you say, the real social world, and how followers of Jesus had really demonized Jews. And that was not a problem as long as they were being hunted by Romans and crucified and executed. But when they came into power in the 4th century, they legislated laws against the Jews. You could be burned alive for converting someone to Judaism. And in the Middle Ages, in the Holy Roman Empire, Jews were considered the killers of Christ. And they were hunted and they were targeted and they were, it's absolutely horrific to see how Christians have treated Jews for thousands of years if you start to study it. Jonathan Carroll wrote a book called Constantine's Sword about this, and he stopped being a Catholic priest. He said he was so appalled by the treatment of Jews when he realized what actually happened. So then when you look at the 19th and 20th century, the Holocaust, if you look in Germany, Hitler was actually, his propaganda minister was a Christian, believe it or not, Joseph Goebbels. And he said, Hitler is bringing in the 1,000-year reign of Christ. That's why it's the Dritte Reich, the third kingdom, is the third millennium. And he's coming as the forerunner of Christ, and he's getting rid of all the Jews who are enemies of Jesus.
So sorry that was a long one.
No. That
I was too into it.
Seriously, I could listen to that lady narrate a fucking phone book.
Now hold a second. Derek.
Oh my God, she's awesome.
She's a Christian though, right?
Holy shit.
No.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck what she is. She's awesome.
Yeah, not your typical. She's
okay.
a spiritualist. She's more of a Gnostic.
Oh.
She actually, so she's one of the few, not only has like Nobel Bell Prize, like New York Times best-selling, unbelievable mind. I got to go fly out to Colorado and interview her for 2 full days in her house, in her living room.
Oh.
That was a remote interview. That was just me when I first met her.
Wow.
I have high definition 1080p sitting at her feet in her living room, connecting with the woman. And she knows Coptic, Aramaic, Greek, Hebrew. Like she knows like unbelievable amount of languages.
That is brilliance that you cannot deny. Yeah. Like everything that I heard her say in just that small clip. Give me her name again.
Professor Elaine Pagels. Like bagels, God. But Pagels.
I was
going to say something different, but it wouldn't have been appropriate.
Kegels? They're healthy. Sorry. It's natural. Anyway, that was amazing. Oh, yeah. I feel changed.
Now that episode from that clip, I believe you guys are talking about the devil. It was talking about how the devil kind of came into, and I'm just, the reason why we're doing this too, folks, go to the channel, go through, there's topics for everybody. Trust me. Now, the last video I chose was because we've heard it all about white people kind of talking about Jesus, the whitewashed Jesus thing. But we have Rabbi Singer here, who I trying to think of how many videos I've watched in your channel with him. At least 3 or 4.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, I'm sure.
On here. Now, if I don't know what else to say. If anything else, if you're ever exploring Christianity, my first move on the chessboard when I wanted to research it is I went to a bookstore and I bought a Jewish Bible, a Jewish Torah that had, you had to start at the back and read the opposite way, of course. Half of it had the correct language and the half of it had the translation, except I was looking for the most close to translation as possible. And I'm reading through it. There's parts of that Bible that said, sorry, there's no translation. And I'm like, if it seemed honest, it seems fair. And I'm trying to dig. So when you have Rabbi on for your videos, and I encourage everybody to check these ones out, you're talking about, here's a guy who is in the religion that was the foundation, more or less, of Christianity. Like, this is where this started. And you have his take, and he says over and over again, Christianity is the easiest religion to disprove. I mean, it's, and this guy breaks it down. This clip, I think, kind of pigtails off of the last one a little bit, but I don't believe this is that long. Let's take a look here.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to be on a show with 2 Gentiles. I'm kidding. I'm very.
I love it.
My career is going to tank immediately. So what am I going to do? I'll have to explain.
I'm going to laugh out loud at that. That's awesome.
Anyways, this is good. The problem really, I think, begins in that Christianity and Judaism are using the same words. We're using the semantics are the same. We're using words like Messiah. We're using words like Satan. We're using words like salvation, but we mean something completely different. So unless you have some familiarity with what it is that the Jewish faith teaches, the Jewish scriptures teach, person would easily, I don't know how someone would not be confused by what's happening here. But in reality, the teachings of the church, most of Christian theology is found not in the Gospels, but in the letters of Paul, are completely opposed by the Jewish scriptures. And the teachings that are conveyed in the Gospels are very different. And Matthew, who uses more than anyone else these fulfillment citations, is misquoting the Hebrew Bible. Strangely, really crazy is that one controversial passage from Psalm 22, verse 17 in the Jewish Bible, 16 in the Christian Bible. is never quoted in the New Testament. And the New Testament writers were really familiar with the crucifixion psalm, Psalm 22, where we have the cry of dereliction. So if they thought, just as an example, I'm using your example, if anyone if any first century writer thought that there was a passage in Psalm 22 that said, they pierced my hands and my feet, are we to believe, can any sober mind believe, they thought, well, no, that's not important enough. They parted my garments, we'll go with that. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? We'll throw that into Mark's final words of Jesus dying on the cross. But they pierced my hands and my feet. The answer is that's a later concoction, a later corruption of late 2nd century when that's added in. So yeah, the church would have to mistranslate the Jewish Bible. And then one other point I should be said, that I don't think there is a Christian school in America, I'm talking about for kids, that teach Hebrew. That means if a Christian is going to learn Hebrew, the first opportunity is at a university. When you're 20, you're 18, it's way too late. Whereas Jewish children learn Hebrew when they're kids. So Hebrew is my mother language.
So that part of that,
some really brilliant minds, man. I mean, I grok what both of those people are saying.
And Derek, I have to, and I hope we get to do this every year for many, many years, and just kind of do like a nice little recap and just let you know that all the stuff that you're doing is just so appreciated, and you're different than everybody else, and of course your wife can probably attest to that. But I'm just, you have gone
let's
down.
not get too personal here.
You have gone down every road there, let me rephrase that. You're going down every road, like anything that's imaginable. I mean, before your channel, it's like, well, maybe something will come up in an atheist experience or this or that. But all of the hard work the editing and just in scheduling people and flying out to places and, being taken seriously for so many years, you probably had so many doors closed at first until you really start to get that ball rolling. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to get huge guests now that you've been on twice. We're going to use your line in our.
Yeah, we're totally riding your coattails all the way to Valhalla.
Dude, get canceled after this show.
But
you keep saying that. But yet here we are, breathing, clawing ourselves from the shore into the sandy dryness as victors of our own lives, Zach Green. And I know that you haven't gotten to talk that much. Would you like to give me some? Can you impart me some knowledge?
No,
I
have nothing.
What about tongue? Can you speak in tongues?
No. No.
Hey, will you do it?
Really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of smart people in the world today. The people that you interview, and like even us. Is somewhat.
Speak for
maybe.
yourself,
but
asshole.
but like. There's a lot of good intention. There's a lot of people that are starting to figure things out, whether that be life or the big picture, whatever. Why is it that it seems like recently we're in a fucking tailspin that we can't pull out of, and we've had many us humans, modern humans, have many years to somewhat start to figure this out, start to understand the human condition and how humans act. Yet it seems like our technology right now is tripping us, and we're in a tailspin that we can't pull out of. And and how does that base in with religion? There's so much that we know about religion that we can go far back in the theology and in the beginnings of everything. Why does it seem like we are more lost than we've ever been right now?
There we go.
Yeah, Jared, come on, make it happen.
Oh no,
I
Ryan's
think there's, they say there's plenty of information online. I think there's more misinformation than there is information. And I think people like misinformation. People enjoy thinking Elvis Presley appeared to their neighbor. People like thinking that was a UFO. People enjoy thinking that somehow, if they're right, politically right, for example, that QAnon is true and the prophecies of Donald Trump will happen. There's something psychological about this. Just because we, as I guess you'd say, like the progressive people who've learned the mind and understand how evolution plays a significant role to our superstitions and how we as humans are like the animals. I mean, I interviewed a few scientists not too long ago, and I speak to them all the time. Not only are we apes, all right, a form of ape, but because our frontal lobar cortex is as developed as it is, and we have a decision-making process that's more advanced than your typical ape out there, we actually have more chance to get confused and misled by the decision-making processes we have. Mm-hmm. So now, instead of having 1 to 3 choices as an actual gorilla, let's say, with a basic brain of a gorilla, we have 100 choices and we have mass information. Most of it is misinformed. And here everybody's falling for this. So it's super complex question you ask, Zach. But in my opinion, most people don't know what I just said, and they haven't internalized what that is. So they don't know how to have a methodology where they could be skeptical about everything that comes at them. If it sounds good, they're probably going to believe it. Hey, step on that crack, break your mother's back. Someone's going to think they might actually break their mother's back or some weird superstition.
It's cognitive distortions.
Huh?
They're cognitive distortions.
Exactly.
And confirmation bias.
Yeah. Well, she's actually got a logical reason to have trust issues, not only from her upbringing with her family, but past activities that I have done. In fact, that's critical and logical thinking to think that way instead of just blindly believing after things have happened. It takes a long time for you to build that trust and to know that someone can be trusted to do the right thing at all times, et cetera, et cetera.
Or believe everything that you're taught, not believing everything you're taught, because if I did, I would have probably been more extreme into Christianity had I believed everything I was taught. I had a very hard time believing there was a virgin who, got pregnant and we've never seen it. Or there was a man who survived being swallowed by a whale, yet we've not seen it.
She knew this as a kid.
This is like common sense,
that's where I called bullshit when I was a kid too. When I heard those stories, I'm like, man, this shit's not Pinocchio.
Yeah. And then you're told not to doubt. So you're like, oh man, I don't, but there's no way, nobody doubts this, right? Nobody
blind followers. This. but there is a degree of, and this is what I have to talk to people about. There's a degree of comfort in having blind faith.
Greg, yes. Greg says people don't want to say themselves; they're too lazy.
And I think that goes into the blind faith thing.
There's a lot of work that you have to put in order to surmount your belief system and become your own author. Is, I guess, the best way to put it.
All right, we're over. So.
Thank you.
And it's awesome that we're over because it was a good. That was a good one.
Can I say one thing though on what Green said? Because Green, that was the epic question of the week, honestly. And I deal with serious questions every day, right? That was the best one this week. And you asked, how do we pull ourselves out of it? That was the thing we didn't talk about. I gave you all the problem. I told you why I think it happens. How do we solve it? And that is where I think education is going to play a significant role. It's going to be people learning how to say, no, Fox News, hold on. I'm not buying what you say just because you say it because my mom likes Fox News or NBC or CNN or whatever the news might say or whatever it might be. And people pitch these things all the time. You've got Jesus from Australia trying to sell you salvation from a fictitious hell that doesn't even exist. His own version of it. It's a weird one if you listen to him. But the point is
a White Castle.
He says certain things that are true. See, this is the thing. He says certain things that are actually observable, applicable truths that we live every day doing. The golden rule. You want to treat people the way you want to be treated. People act like Jesus came up with that. No, Greeks had that far before that, and who knows who had it before them. The point is these truths, when you say it the right way, you suck into those people who are open to these things, and they believe what you say, and then you add in a bullshit statement, and they just go one step further into what you just said, and they don't test it. They don't go, hey, he said 5 good things. That 6th thing was bullshit, but man, if you got 5 of them right, that 6th one's probably right too. And you start to sell BS, and people buy it because they like the way you speak or the way you've connected with them or whatever it might be. And they don't have the tools to know how to go, hold on, where's that source at? Okay, you said it's in book 354 of what? Okay, let me email this scholar and ask him if that's
because nobody's going to do it.
Nobody's going to do the work.
That's what Greg Brown said. They're too lazy. They're too lazy.
So
even with all of the everything at their fingertips, they're still.
Mythvision in a nutshell is that quest. As you're doing the work for people, you can pan through all the different topics. You can find ones that are interesting. You can binge if you want to.
You should.
And the thing of it is, folks, is if this stuff is giving you knowledge or giving you you're stimulated, that's what mental boner is what they call it,
brain boner.
Then that's why we're petitioning to find what you're comfortable with, whether it be Patreon or Facebook pages or Discord or whatever it is with Mythvision, and help get this project further down the road. Because I can assure you, if you haven't seen any of the videos, that like Derek has been talking about, he takes an approach which isn't, I know it's right, and it's not a debate. It's not a debate. It's a teacher-esque approach where they're just weaving through the topics because there's an expert there that's going to tell you the consensus of all the experts in the research. And
hello, empirical guest.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the show more than others, is simply that. You know what I mean?
Including ours. He likes your show more than ours.
More hours.
More hours.
Also, like, one of my favorite people of all time is T Jump. Tom Jump is on the other side, where he can easily tear things apart and say, no, that's not actually how things work. And that's the beauty of his stuff that I also, I mean, you guys' 2 channels are my favorite ones to
Can I play
watch.
you a clip real quick? Just the intro of a video I did to give you an example on what Zach Green's question. Zach, you stimulated my thinking here, my friend.
You got him stuck.
You got me going. So there's this show I did on what's called Havana syndrome. Okay. And this particular syndrome is something like mass hysteria.
Right.
Let's play this and see just the intro and let me know what you guys think.
Look at this. It is a site that has spooked many people in different parts of the East County. Near El Cajon, some neighbors are calling him Chupacabra after the legendary creature.
Ladies and gentlemen, following on the news given in our bulletin a moment ago, the Government Meteorological Bureau has requested the large observatories of the country to keep an astronomical watch on any further disturbances occurring on the planet Mars.
In seconds. What? Is it a shape-shifting object? Is it Bezos? Is it Branson? What is it? Is it a UFO?
G'day everyone, artist Wayne Dowsett here, and it's time to weigh in on the Bigfoot phenomenon.
These men are consummate snowball artists. They use sense and nerve gases to induce hallucinations. People think they're seeing ghosts.
There you go. So
and this man has no dick.
Yes,
so every time I see that, that's me.
That was a great movie, but that I wanted to clip a few superstitions in the beginning because we get into that, and that's just one academic that goes into from, like, there was a time in which we were doing nuclear tests in the Pacific Ocean, and they were giving warnings to the West Coast, like, be careful. And they were saying, keep an eye out on things. And someone mentioned, look out on your windshield of your vehicles, something like that. And instead of people looking through them, when you give suggestion, The placebo effect.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone knows what the placebo effect is, I can give you a pill, tell you it will cure your headache. If you think I have credentials and you trust me, your headache will probably go away. A real migraine will go away just with sugar. I tricked you. But your belief in it caused your headache to go away. If I give you the sugar pill and I tell you, oh my God, that was rat poisoning. This is not good. This is not good. Your body will reject it. Your brain believes it and you'll start to vomit. The power of belief and suggestion is so powerful. Well, when they said that, people stopped looking through their windshields and they started noticing these little divots and crevices in their windshield and said, the erosion from the atomic bombs that are being tested are causing cracks in the windshield. So then they pull.
God, I remember that shit.
So the scientists are now pulling the windshields off and taking them to the manufacturer and saying, no, this is how they came out of the manufacturer. So people were believing in things that aren't true. And that's just one. I mean, you can list like over and over and over. We are most likely wrong. And if we start with that, the Socratic method,
right?
I know nothing, and work from there. That would be a good tool humans could start using. Stop pretending like you think you know.
Right there.
Takes a lot of the ego out of it, though. That's the problem, is that the ego and the truck that burns diesel and has giant tires that proves that my penis still works. No, I'm paraphrasing from a meme I saw earlier that made me laugh. But it's true.
Yeah.
There is truth to that.
Yeah.
If you are willing, it just the point A to point B just connect so easily when it comes to that stuff.
And I just try to teach my children skepticism and investigation. I mean, and that's really what it boils down to. And like just a circle the wagons on, green is just people have to learn to dissect things and not only yourself.
Yes. Easily said than done.
I say this all the time too, is if somebody's never done this before, just think of yourself being the attorney for the opposing thought that you have. If you're pro-life,
is that the devil's advocate?
How can I defend and how can I investigate pro-choice? If I'm pro-choice, how can I go and investigate pro-life? And when you start to do the hard work if I'm the other person, all you have to do is bridge some humanity and humanism and connect that. Well, you're a human being. I should be super nice to you and understand the other person's point and present your point, like a gentleman and or lady or whatever it is.
But that's too much work, Zach. That's too much fucking work. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to have my opinions about Kyle Rittenhouse. Can I just have my opinions about it?
I have no opinion on that. I don't want nothing to do with it.
No, but I'm just saying that for a really potent vinegar tasting point, I could just make my mind up about it.
Yeah, I'm not about surfing on everybody else's wave. I'll tell you that.
I think that's why it's really important too to start teaching our kids that at a very early age, because we were not taught that, and I think that's why we are so quick to believe. So what you were saying earlier about teaching your kids skepticism, am I saying that right? I believe that that's very important to teach them on how to make their own decisions and not believe everything, because we weren't taught that.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody was, for that matter.
Yep.
All right. Well, guess what? We are so over. And hey, Ryan, thank you so much for hanging up this whole time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you
for having me.
I'm sorry, Derek. You're welcome to be here too, buddy. Thanks for being here.
I guess
your husband talks about you so much that it's nice to.
Dad? No.
Never.
No.
I want my balls.
What?
I want my balls.
I want my balls.
If you don't mind, can I get them back out of your purse, please?
Exactly.
There's a little mason jar up there.
Yeah, but it's such a pleasure to finally, put a personality to the narrative that Derek, because he's talked about it in so many different shows. So I want to thank you for that. Once again, Derek, thank you for everything that we do. We definitely, hopefully, get Circle the Wagons back next year. We wish you all the best. We hope people sign up and subscribe to Mythvision and hell, email ideas. Who cares? And let's get this party rolling. Other than that, folks, we will see you next Tuesday. Have a great week, and be well. See ya.
I gotta pee.
Me too.
Oh boy.
He